Someone asked if I had any tips on how not to fall back into reactivity in these very strong bonds, like in a soulmate relationship or maybe in a relationship with your child or somebody who you're really connected to. I do have some tips, but first, my name is Anya. I'm the author of this book on consciousness reality. I talk a lot about spirituality, about the fact that we have an immense power to transform our reality right here inside of us. You can, click on the link here and get the signed books that I have left. The first thing to remember is not to expect perfection and that you are going to keep reacting. Even if you have done some sort of inner work on the part of you that is reacting and you're doing inner healing and you're getting to these places inside of you where you're like, oh my gosh, I see something different. I see something outside of that old conditioning that we keep, sharing. And like in the book, I offer several ways of questioning that conditioning. Even if you've done that work and even if you've had your insight, your hardware has been wiring and firing together for so long that it is going to take a little while for you to not feel a really strong impulse to act in the old way. It is really important to celebrate even the fact that you're noticing that you're reacting. Even if while you're reacting, even if your mouth is open and you're already saying things, notice that there's a part of you, right? Like the observer part of you that a lot of spiritual teachers point to, that is watching you react. Oh my gosh, look at me. I am about to accuse him or her of this or that, or I am about to get really pushy. That is already a huge success because the part of you that is watching and the part of you is reacting are not one and the same thing. It's also important to remember that strengthening of that grounding in the place that is outside of the reactive conditioned part in you will happen in connection with real life. And if the situation that you are in is very volatile and you just don't have the mental or emotional capacity to continue engaging with it, you can start practicing in the privacy of your own mind, of your own home. It used to be in the past when I was just learning to do this, I would imagine the situation that would usually trigger me. And that imagination would call out my own reactivity to it, and I would observe it and question it. Transformation or the change in this relationship is going to occur not in you curbing the reaction, but in you going beyond the place that can't help but hijack you and put you into that fight or flight. It's when your consciousness starts seeing options outside of it, when it starts seeing the truth of your nature of the self and the truth of the person you're interacting with outside of that old conditioning. That is where the transformative power is going to start doing its work. Not because you have changed the words that you say to them, not because you're manipulating the situation with them, but because you're tapping into a place and little by little allowing yourself to dwell in that awareness while the hardware is still conditioned to go to that scared place. And the more time you spend in it, the more your awareness begins trusting that place instead of trusting the part that says we have to defend you at all costs. And the more you allow for the imperfection of life to be as it is, while you are remaining 100% present and loving, and in that loving clarity, you either take action or you choose a different thing to say, or you propose a different way a relationship is going to go. How long is it going to take? You're not on anyone's timeline, and there isn't like a prize for getting there first. Every relationship, I believe, in our life, we're all on this transformative journey together. So whatever progress you make in that direction, that's enough. That's enough for today. That's enough for where you are. And as long as you keep looking in that direction, like I said, the truth is going to win eventually. It can't help it. It will In terms of actual time it takes, it depends on how intense your relationship is, how often you see them, how often this particular triggering situation comes up, because it's like anything, it's practice. And in my experience, when I really do my inner work, 2 or 3 interactions involving that old activity show me that there is a shift. In a couple of weeks, in maybe 3, 4 weeks, I start feeling a lot more grounded, a lot more free. And in several months, it becomes like, oh, look at that old trigger. And then, it dies off. If I'm exhausted or tired, or maybe if I hit a particularly big success, there might be a little temptation to go back to that old place. But usually it's like, no, thank you. And it leaves. And, meanwhile, if you react, just apologize, be compassionate to yourself. That kind of compassion will also extend to people you are dealing with. You will see how difficult it is, even with the awareness that you have, how difficult it is to curb those reactions. And you're not going to really take their reactions to you as personally. So every bit of progress is progress. And once again, thank you for everyone who's ordered my book. It's $18.99 right now, and there's TikTok has some discounts. But I am running low, and I just called the publisher, and the prices went up since I've bought it before 3 years ago. So it is going to go up to $24 later, like when I'm able to buy more. But if you guys do, I still have like 110 copies left, and they're signed.